everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman here, as always, with Tom Orr. Tom, how's it going?
Tony, I am here to solemnly pledge to you and the listeners that I respect the listeners far, far, far too much to try and steal correct answers when we're reviewing last week's game with stuff I clearly didn't mean. And, trying to twist meanings of words to make them fit what I said when I clearly meant something else. Because, Tony, I simply respect the listeners too much to try and pull any of that kind of chicanery. Tony, can you pledge the same thing?
Boy, you were telling a very different story before the show. I'll just say that out there. We dropped the fourth wall a lot around here. That is the exact opposite of what you were saying about the listeners. I see what you're doing, Tom. You're doing the same thing that Eminem did in 8 Mile. You're trying to throw out all of the stuff and you're trying to disarm me of my arguments when Tom, and we'll just go ahead and get it out there. Like we'll have this argument right in front of everybody. I don't care. We'll stop this car right now. So as everybody knows, this is our bold prediction show. So we'll just go ahead and get that out there. Last week's bold prediction show, I predicted that Denzel Burke would have an interception. We all saw that happen. The refs saw that happen. There was only one person, well, two persons, including Tom, only two people who didn't see it happen. And it's the idiot, and I'll say that nicely, the idiot replay official who overturned clearly what was a Denzel Burke interception. So I don't know if there's a vendetta against Burke by this person or a vendetta against me. Either way, I think it's clear that this being this was a correct prediction. And Tom, I'm just interested to hear your argument against it because I know it's going to be terrible.
Well, I checked the box score and it said he didn't have an interception. So therefore he didn't have an interception. So
box scores are put together by people in khakis. Like they're not even playing the game.
See, and I know you're going to make a separate argument about Cam Martinez next. So we're going to get in front of that.
My arguments.
We're going to get in front of that one too, where you said someone's going to have their first career touchdown catch. And it's like, well, yes, he did score a touchdown, but it was an interception, not a reception. Very clearly the intent was reception. It would be like me claiming this is your thing is with Denzel Burke is like me claiming that I should get credit for my prediction where they're going to have 220 yards rushing and passing because, well, they did it. But then the long pass to Chris Olave got called back on an offensive face mask call. And who's even ever heard of an offensive face mask call? But again, Tony, respect the listeners way too much to try and pull any of that kind of nonsense, falderah, chicanery, what have you. I won't do it. That's not what I'm about. I mean, maybe that's what you're about. I don't know. I guess we're going to find out. Tony, how much did you get right last week?
Well, I said that Tulsa would be held under 100 yards rushing. They did. I said CJ Stroud will throw 5 touchdowns. I can't remember if that happened or not. I said Denzel Burke will have an interception. That happened, but I'll give it to you. They took it off the board, even though he did have an interception. I said Tyreek Smith will have a sack. He got close a bunch of times. So I'll go ahead and begrudgingly not accept that one. Then I did say somebody catches, and I will quote myself as I often do. Somebody catches a first career touchdown pass, and I didn't call it a reception. It's just either kind of reception will do. Reception, interception. This was Cameron Martinez's first touchdown of a pass. Tom, did he or did he not catch that pass?
This is when I start wondering
Answer
why.
the question.
This is when I start wondering why you have not put your little window sticker on your new car for Hollywood Upstairs Law School. Like this is not. There was very clearly intent here, and we can honor the intent, or we can twist the rules to obtain a fraudulent outcome. I mean, that's fine. You can do whatever you want to do. I will leave that up to you and your honor, sir.
I'll just let you know, I had people reaching out to me saying, hey, Tom's got to give you that. And of course, I knew that you would not because you are so petty in this competition. How many did you get right, Tom? By the way, let's discuss that. How many did you get right last week? Because I've gotten 3 by my own count.
Yes, you got 1. And
How
I
many
also
have you
got
gotten
1
by my count?
you got 1 and I got 1. But the one I got, I really got because I said that at least 70 and 90 yards of total offense by Travion Henderson, to be only the second true freshman since the start of the 2018 season to do it. And he almost tripled that number. So really, if you think about it, I should really probably get like 2.9 points for that one or so. So I guess I got 2.9 correct. How'd you do? Oh, wait, we already established that. 1. Good.
I got 3, which is more. So let's go ahead and get started with this week's set of bold predictions, because I'm feeling pretty good. Now, this is one of those weeks where you can predict almost anything, and against Akron, you've got a shot of it, other than CJ Stroud throw for 400 yards, because he's probably only going to play a half if he plays that much. So that would be a lot of throwing in a half. So you kind of have to weigh how you're going to do this and how far out are you going to go. Evan Pryor is going to rush for 40 yards, something like that. It could happen. So there's anything that could happen with these predictions. My first prediction, however, Tom, Ohio State will rush and pass for at least 220 yards in this game, which is something that Tom has predicted each of the last 2 weeks, and it has not happened. So for me to pick this one, sure, it seems like a layup, but he can't possibly argue against it because he's said it's been bold the last 2 weeks. So what? Is he going to really just throw out all of his morals right now and be like, well, that can't be bold, and you're just going to switch aisles and you're just going to stay on your one track mind? So Tom, just tell me, revel in the boldness of that prediction.
I will allow it. Obviously, it is a bold prediction. It's a little less bold given the context of the opponent, but it's fine. I will. I mean, they again. That was something they only did twice last year, so that's fine. We'll allow it. I was wondering why you desperately wanted to go first this week. Now I know. That's fine. That's fine.
How does it feel though? Just tell us how it feels.
Unsatisfying is how that feels to have that done right back in my face. Don't care for it, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. I
don't even need to
what?
talk about it. I just wanted to throw it out there.
I didn't even have that on my list this week because I'm like, well, it's not really bold this week. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine.
Please.
That's fine.
Please. Now you've only got 4 predictions left.
No, I have plenty. I have 9. Don't worry. I've got plenty. I've got lots this week. Number
Just
1.
throw them against the wall and then count them all.
100 yards of total offense for Travion Henderson in the first half.
Ooh, Tom, that is bold, because I don't know. One of my predictions was going to be that maybe nobody rushes for 100 yards for the Buckeyes because it's going to be so spread out. So that is bold. I will give you that 100 yards of total offense in the first half. I go ahead and talk about it. I think that's pretty bold. That's spicy. Mm-hmm. That is something that has only happened. Gosh, well, it didn't happen last week, but he did put up like 300 yards almost in the second half. But we'll leave that alone. But I do like that. That is bold, and I don't think it's a sure thing, which is what the purpose of this exercise is.
Correct. I think the issue here, what makes this week challenging is, like, if you just took the normal baseline, everything would be like, yes, over. They're going to throw for more touchdowns. They're going to run for more touchdowns. They're going to run for more yards. They're going to. The question is, like, especially on these individual player ones, how many snaps is that player going to get? Because they're going to want to get, presumably, Mayan Williams snaps, Master Teague snaps. You mentioned Evan Pryor. Is Marcus Crowley back and healthy this week? That's 5 running backs. Like, how many snaps is he going to get? How many opportunities is he going to get? I think there's a decent chance he busts one big one in the first half, either in the passing game or the running game, which helps get him there.
He'd be like 6 carries for 100 yards in the first quarter or something like that. So I do like this one, that one. I know you're not going to like this one. So by proxy and by definition, I will love it. Somebody other than CJ Stroud throws a touchdown pass. Now, that may seem like a gimme to you, Tom, and I already see you rolling your eyes and you're shaking your head, but it didn't happen last year. So, and nobody else on this roster has thrown a touchdown pass.
Sorry, so no one other than CJ Stroud threw a touchdown pass last year. Is that your argument, counselor?
But nobody on this roster has thrown.
Did you finish pass. Hollywood Upstairs Law School? See, I said, here's one that I had that I thought, no.
Mm-hmm.
This is so superficially bold, but yet understanding the context, obviously, is not bold at all. 2 Ohio State players set career highs for completions, attempts, and passing yards in this game.
That's really lame.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
but you can.
That was
throwing
one.
A touchdown is different than throwing a pass.
that was one that I wasn't going to use because I thought, no. We are going to hold true to the boldness of the as promised in the title of the show.
Do you want me to put a name to it? Would that help?
No, not really. I bet I know which name. I'll tell you what. If you put a name other than Kyle McCord on it, sure, I'll listen to that.
Well, you listen to this, like, no, I'll go ahead and put a name on it to make you happy, Tom. I do think it'll be Kyle McCord, and I hope you're satisfied now. And again, this hasn't happened since I believe October of 2019, so we can. That's almost 4 years, and so I think. What if I say this, Tom? By the third quarter.
By the third
because
quarter,
they'll be running the ball in the fourth quarter.
Are you going to call it in the first half or no? First half, no.
So not only am I naming naming the player, I'm naming the quarter, third quarter. So
in the third quarter.
Yes. There's 4 quarters in the game. I'm picking the exact quarter that Kyle McCord will throw a touchdown pass. His first career touchdown pass. Tom, possibly his first career pass. I mean, we don't know. I assume he's just going to chuck it 70 yards and it's going to be a touchdown. Now we've got a new starting quarterback. So Kyle McCord, third quarter with the lead pipe.
I'm going to allow it. I don't like it, but I'm going to allow it. This show every week is just me going, you going, well, maybe he'll buy this one. Here's one. I'm doing these things and I'm like, went back and look and I'm like, okay, just make sure this is really bold that really this has not happened in a long time. This would be an unusual thing to have happen. And you're like, well, guy who's definitely going to play in the third quarter is going to throw a touchdown pass in the third quarter. Good. Cool. Good. All right. Well, it's fine. We'll move on. 13 different players record a carry or a catch. Ohio State has not done that since at least 2019. I only went back to the start of last year's season. That has not happened at any point in the last couple of years. So 13 different players record a carry or a catch.
19 players. That's a lot, Tom.
13, 1-3.
What was the last game when they did that?
I didn't go back far enough to find it. I just went back to the beginning of last year and went, well, it has not come particularly close to counting.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think that's acceptable because you're talking maybe 5 people running the ball, maybe 6 people running the ball, just depending.
And
okay.
I'm thinking
allow it.
Two quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 2 tight ends, and 5 wide receivers, something like that. I mean, that's probably about right. Now I was looking and I was going to have a much higher number because I was counting up and I was like, wow, they've hit 11 and 12 a bunch. But then there's guys who both caught a pass and rushed the ball. So it's like, well, no, all the times it looks like it's 11 this year is actually more like 8 or 9. So yes, that would be a substantially higher number.
It would also be a good exercise for everybody who hasn't gotten to play yet. So I do like that. I will accept that. And we can chalk that one up and we'll see if it happens because Tom, I don't want to keep score on this, but you haven't had the best luck on these. So I guess if people are crazy enough and foolish enough to bet on our bold predictions, I'd say take the under on that one, but you do you.
Well, yes. Here's the thing about bold predictions. The whole point is it's not better than 50-50 to happen. That's what makes it bold, Tony. I think maybe I'm starting to figure out what the issue is. The communication issue between us is when we say bold predictions, we mean things that are not necessarily likely to happen, but we are predicting them to happen nonetheless.
Oh, see, I thought the B was silent.
So now we need to unplug this whole competition. Wait 30 seconds, plug it back in, and then we'll start over. Okay, good. Now that we're on the same page. Okay. I can't wait to hear your next bold one. What's your third old prediction?
Somebody other than Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave will have a catch of at least 40 yards. And I don't know that Jackson Smith and Jigba has had a 40-yard catch this year. I can go ahead and look at that. But it's not something that happens every day for Ohio State, who receivers who aren't those two. And I'm just looking Jackson Smith-Njigba doesn't even have a 30-yard catch this year. So the only two receivers, other than TreVeyon Henderson, of course, so although
are you calling an Ohio State receiver to have other than the two of them?
Oh, that's a good point.
I think I would
no.
say I think if it's an Ohio State receiver, I'll allow it.
Yes, no, it actually does say somebody other than Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave will have a catch of at least 40 yards, and it actually does signify which game. So somewhere in America, no, an Ohio State Buckeye other than Garrett Wilson or Chris Olave will have a catch of at least 40 yards, and maybe it'll be TreVeyon Henderson, and we can just cancel each other out there. That wouldn't, I wouldn't feel great about that, but I do think if you've got all of these playmakers, let's see them. Maybe it's a screen pass to Evan Pryor. Maybe it's a screen to shoot. Maybe it's a little. We haven't seen the jet sweep much. Maybe it's just a little touch jet sweep to Emeka Egbuka in the fourth quarter or something like that. Doubtful, but somebody other than Wilson or Olave for 40 yards, and we both accept it. So that's getting us somewhere.
I'm lobbying you to change this to a receiver because it's still not. That's not crazy. That's not outrageous to ask you to put a wide receiver on it and not limit it to.
Do you want me to just other than Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, or TreVeyon Henderson? Would that make you feel better? Can we negotiate that? Is that the sticking point here?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
All right.
Take your little precious freshman and put him on the list. God, what a baby! Now go ahead and give us your next bold prediction so that I can ridicule you and negotiate something out of that one.
Yet another thing that has not happened since at least the start of 2020, and I did not go back through the 2019 box scores to see if it happened that year. 4 Ohio State players with at least 6 rushes each.
Wow. I can't even. Yeah.
That's it's. You think back and you're like, oh, certainly that's happened a bunch of times. And there's a bunch of times where it's like, 15, 12, 10, 4, 3, something like that. That's extended play for 4 different running backs because we don't know if, and I guess it could be a quarterback, but I don't think banking on the Ohio State quarterbacks to run has been a winning bet for you much this year. So 4 Ohio State players with at least 6 rushes each.
What did they do in the second game? I know the first game, TreVeyon Henderson only had like 2, but everybody else had like 5 or 6.
The Oregon game this year.
So, I mean, I think that is very likely to happen. I think it should happen. And I could almost argue that you could do something like 5 running backs will carry the ball. And maybe even 6 if you want to throw Xavier Johnson in there. Because, obviously they can pull Evan Pryor and put him on the field, and he has 4 games to play to keep his eligibility. What do you got, Tom?
Well, I'm looking at the Oregon game this week or this year. They only had 3 different people carry the ball, and that was
in Minnesota. Like 4 running backs played, but Henderson only had 2 carries. I think Crowley maybe had 5 or 6, and Teague had 6 or so.
Correct.
And
yeah, it's just they had that first game. Yeah, that first game 3 people had 6, but TreVeyon Henderson only had 2. CJ Stroud only had 3. So
I think it's going to happen. I don't. Would I put that as one of my bold predictions? Of course. Tom, does that make it bold? Let's use your own argument. If I would use it, does that make it bold? Come on, where are you at now?
I'll tell you what. I will either do 4 with at least 6 carries or 5 different Ohio State running backs carry the ball. You pick which one of them I do. Because I think 4 with 6 carries is substantially more bold than 5 guys with 1.
Yeah,
because this is a game where they're putting in a walk-on running back to get a carry or 2 in the last drive of a game when it's 63-6, and that number gets padded a little bit. So that's why 6 seems a little more bold to me.
I'll allow the 4 with 6 because I could also see like TreVeyon Henderson getting 5 carries for 120 yards and not playing the rest of the game or something like that. But I do think it's going to happen. It should happen. But also maybe it's 5 with 5 or something like that, and you're like very angry. Like 3 have 6, 2 have 5, and everybody just laughs and has a good time.
Except for me.
That's where the laughing and the good time happens.
That's kind of the bit on this show, apparently. Like I wasn't aware of that when I signed up to do these shows, but that's kind of the bit.
Yeah, welcome to Hollywood. My fourth one here, and it has to be bold if it hasn't happened yet. I know I'm not already couching that this isn't bold. I do think it will happen though. JT Tuimoloau will have at least one tackle for loss in this game. I think he's going to play a bunch. It's time for him to actually do something he hasn't done in his entire career. This is a guy playing in his fourth game. Just got to campus a few weeks ago, essentially. Just showed up out of the blue and is now already in the mix playing 50 snaps. He has to at least get in time. Originally, I had this as he will get at least one sack. But then I was like, a tackle for loss. A sack also counts as a tackle for loss. So why don't we go down to tackle for loss? And I know you're going to try to probably bump me up to just a sack. But I'm going to say JT Tuimoloau will have a tackle for loss in this game. I could see it being more than one. Frankly, I would not be shocked at all. But again, I'm rarely shocked when I get a bold prediction correct because I do study these things and I do have analytics stuffs. So I'm going to say one TFL for JTT.
I will give you either one of these two things, one sack or 1.5 tackles per loss.
And I knew you're going to do that. And I'm jumping on 1.5 tackles for loss. Thank you. Boom. See, Tom, another thing that you have to learn with these bold predictions
is to pick something extremely, extremely weak and then just negotiate it to something that's slightly reasonable.
Just one tiny notch up and be like, boom, because that was a notch below what I needed to go with. So, yes, I agree. 1.5 is obviously more bold. So I can go with that one.
I have a related one, somewhat related. Now, mine is going to be substantially more bold than yours. At least 7 Buckeyes show up in the TFL column on the final stat sheet. Now, that has only happened once since the start of the 2020 season. That was Michigan State last year. There's been a bunch of 4s and 5s. I think there was a 2 earlier this year for Ohio State. But to define our terms, because I don't want to leave like weasel out ways that like Tony does, you can have half of a tackle for loss, and that means you're showing up in that column. Your number is something other than 0-0. So 7 different players record at least, half of a tackle for loss for Ohio State in this game.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. My larger issue overall with this collection of bold predictions is that you're only going back to a pandemic season. And that's what we're judging all of these stats based on. I just, in the future, if you could go back at least to 2019, I go back to 2016, 2015, because I don't want to just have retreads in my predictions. I want these to be outliers, not inliers, Tom. And I think really that's one of the major differences between me and you. But you're learning, you're trying to get better. I'm not saying you're actually you're not taking the meetings to the playing field yet, but you're new. So what'd you say, 7?
At least 7 Buckeyes show up in the TFL column.
Okay. Now, we are admitting that everybody shows up in the TFL column, even if they have 0, because the TFL column is just part of the box score. So you have to have at least 0.5, a half a tackle for loss, right? Because I don't like these people that are trying to like throw these clauses in, because that's not what I do.
Yeah, no, never, no. Yes, I've already said yes. You need to show up. You cannot have 0-0 there. You have to have at least half of a tackle for loss.
What I would like is for you to give me at least 6 of those names.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure you would like that. Yes. Go on.
No. All right. We're going to allow it. And again, in my experience of doing this, and one of the reasons I changed out of the JTT sack is because the bold predictions of sacks, only about 7% of them come true. So it's like I had to go away from that. TFL's much better odds of about 10% in my experience over the many years. So again, I don't know why we just keep going back to that. It's an easy apple to pick that is always rotten. But we'll see if these come true. And I'll be interested to watch. I'm gonna have to keep this one in mind as I watch the stat broadcast score and keep waiting. But they honestly, again, it's Akron. They need to be more aggressive. They should be getting in that backfield. It shouldn't just require the linebackers to blitz. These defensive linemen need to start winning some one-on-one battles and just being more aggressive and pushing the line back, this would be the perfect opportunity for them. My last one, Tom, and it's something that hasn't happened in a few years. I did look, and I don't know that I wrote it down, but it has been years since this has happened. So I know you don't even have to pre-roll your eye roll. Ohio State will outgain Akron by at least 400 yards. So where are we thinking Akron is going to be, in the 250, 300-yard range? I mean, who knows? And so this is going to have to be at least a 600-yard day for the Ohio State offense. Probably more. I don't know what the weather looks like. I probably should have looked at that. I think it's going to be okay, though, in terms of the rain. But it's something, as I said, it hasn't happened for a few years. I'd have to go back. I think it was like a Maryland game in maybe 2017 or something like that. Or I don't know, Tom, if you're furiously looking to contradict me, but it has been a while. And it doesn't happen often. Probably 3 or 4 times in the last 8 years, maybe 6 years. So I'm continuing to explain the boldness of this. Is Akron bad? Yes. That's why I'm going 400 yards instead of 150, Tom.
You're talking long enough that I'm kind of going, yeah, maybe okay. Because 400 immediately, as soon as you said that, I was like, come on. But yeah, maybe. And I think when you said
this is a bad defense, Ohio State has not been a good defense.
Really? That a fact? So it would be bold to predict the Ohio State defense to do something good, like maybe more worth more than 1 point, like do something substantially good.
No, I'm saying.
If I was to say Akron is going to have less than 100 yards of total offense at halftime, would that be bold enough given the state of the Ohio State defense as you just laid it out? That seems like that should maybe be worth more than 1 point. Thoughts?
Oh, shoot. I forgot to do my 2-pointer.
You sure did.
I'll come up with something. Mm-hmm. I can come up with something pretty easily.
At least 30 players will be wearing shoes during the game. Now, Tom, I didn't go back and look, but I don't remember more than 30 players wearing shoes at any time. So
your words are hurtful. So is that one of your, is that your last one?
That was my fifth one. That was my fifth one. Akron has less than
100 we're right in line
at halftime.
Yeah, I think I guess I have, by definition, you have trapped me into this one, Tom. That's the boldest thing I've ever heard. Basically, if we are to agree that Ohio State will outgain Akron by at least 400 yards, being bold. Boy, it sure feels like they need to. So whether or not it's bold, and I think it will, because that's really the half of football where the defense matters, and who cares what happens in the second half, which is why, again, my prediction is also bold, because, as I said, who cares what happens in the second half? I mean, Akron could put up 300 yards in the second half. So I think we're both on the same page here about how bold things are. And so I like that one. 100 yards and a half against pretty much anybody is bold, even an offense as bad as Akron, but obviously not so bad that they can't put up yards in the second half against Ohio State to make my 400-yard differential bold. Okay, but now I have to come up with my 2-pointer.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna throw out a couple. I've got a 2-pointer, and what I feel might be worth a 3-pointer, and then I've got a couple extras that are, we can figure out.
3-pointer.
Well, we had talked about doing more bold play things.
I forgot about that.
Number 1, Ohio State has 4 plays longer than 35 yards. Wait for it. In the first half. 4 plays longer than 35 yards in the first half. Now, how many drives are they actually going to have in the first half is the question. So 5, maybe, perhaps 6. How many times are you going to have multiple 35-plus yard plays in a drive? Not very often. So I would submit to you, I'm essentially predicting them to have a 35-plus yard play in virtually every drive of the first half. That seems like that should be worth 2 points. Because how often do you see 4 plays of 35 yards in an entire game? Not all that often.
But Tom, if they're making, if they're having those kinds of big plays, then you're probably talking about 8 drives in that first half. If you're talking also that you're gonna have some 3 and outs from the Akron defense, so now you're only having on half of the drives a 35-yard play, which also seems low. So I Is that your 2-pointer? Is that what you're going for? Is that what you're trying
That's
to
what I
tell
am
me?
submitting for your consideration for my 2-pointer.
You know what? I will. I'm not going to disallow it because 4 plays of 35 yards, even though that is what Travion Henderson did in the third quarter against, third and fourth quarter against Tulsa all by himself. But whatever, although maybe one of his fourth quarter is only like 31 yards. So you got me there, Tom. I'll allow that one. My 2-point play, as I'm just thinking out loud, and again, we might have to negotiate this one because I have nothing in mind right now. Let's go with Kyle McCord will complete a pass of at least 69 yards. You can't even object to that.
No, it's too nice. No, you got it. You got it. I was like pre-rolling my eyes and I was like, all right, fine. Yeah. All right. I'll allow it. That's good. That's a good one.
Okay. What about your 3-pointer?
Well, my 3-pointer. Now this is a real long shot. This is you know, there's not that many ways this happens, but Ohio State has 2 players pass for 100 yards in a game for the first time since 2017, just the second time since 2011. Two different players pass for 100 yards in a game.
I think that's probably going to happen. I think that's more just bold than, even though it hasn't happened, it's just like we also need to look at the circumstances.
Oh, are we doing that now?
I would say a 3-pointer, Tom, for me would be Quinn Ewers completes a pass.
How about this?
Is it bold to say Quinn Ewers plays in this game?
Well, your 3-pointer can be Quinn Ewers completes a pass. My bold prediction will be 3 players other than CJ Stroud take a snap for Ohio State. 3 players other than CJ Stroud take a snap for Ohio State.
Does Wildcat count?
I mean, I guess it would. When was the last time they ran Wildcat? I'm not anticipating that being something.
Does a punt count?
No, not a punt. No.
What about an extra point or a field goal?
No. On offense, 3 players take a snap other than CJ Stroud.
Okay.
3 players other than CJ Stroud take a snap on offense for Ohio State. Now, I think there's a possibility. That's Jagger LaRoe instead of Quinn Ewers for the third one, for maybe that last drive. Like maybe this is an opportunity to give Jagger LaRoe or JP Andrade a chance to play in a game. I don't think it's super likely because I think they're going to want to give Jack Miller and Kyle McCord as many snaps as they possibly can. That's why I think this is bold. This is we won't know the answer to this until likely the last 30 seconds of a game. And Tony, I've only lost like 2 or 3 of my picks so far this season in the last 30 seconds of a game. So I'm sure this is going to work out great for me.
Playing 4 quarterbacks is a 3-pointer. I think Quinn Ewers being one of those 4 or possibly 5 quarterbacks to throw a pass would be like a 5-pointer though. So, because I'm envisioning him just coming in, taking a knee, if that, or handing the ball. So I think we can agree that if Quinn Ewers throws a pass down, that's a 5-pointer.
3 points it is. All right.
Okay, that's fine. I don't want to argue. We can save that for if we just do another podcast where we argue without any predictions like this. We argue with predictions. We can just have one where we just argue, embrace debate, if you will. But anything else that you want to throw out there before we go?
I think I had one more. Oh, I think I mentioned this earlier, and I decided this was too Weasley. 2 Ohio State players set career highs for completions, attempts, and passing yards. That seemed like that. Not even you would do that. So that clearly is not. Tony, did you have another one?
No,
it looked like you just got a real good idea just a second ago when I was talking.
No, I don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
No, let's just move on. Let's just end the show. Wouldn't be a good look right now. So, all right, that'll do it. Everybody keep track. I know I will be. And as we always do, Tom and I are texting each other during the game when things go wrong or things go right. And I already tweeted out my text to you. I don't know if you ever saw it. My text to you on the Denzel Burke thing, and you of course replied back that the card said moops, and I could not argue that because it did. But also I did want to like strangle you out of my boy in the bubble arms there. So, but cooler heads prevailed. Am I angry? Of course, of course I am. but that's all right. We will move on. We will just continue to do the show and try not to focus on the bad. So thank you, all of you, for watching. Thank you for listening. As always, please check out BuckeyeScoop.com. If you are not yet a member, give it a try for a month, for a year, whatever you like. If you are a member, thank you very much for being a member. And also, you can find all of our videos, all of our podcasts, all of our streams, all of our interviews at youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. And if you subscribe, hit the notification bell, we will let you know anytime something goes live or something drops, and you can find us there. And that'll do it. So thank you all for watching and listening, and we will talk to you guys later.